deep, dark, gothic, brooding fragrances. This one is a beauty. Cue the intro. Hi, I'm Gabby and welcome back to another edition of the Fragrantician, where we talk about all things fragrance. And this video is a tag video. I was tagged by the lovely Scented Snowdrops, John. I'll put his link below and somewhere here, where he talked about deep, dark, gothic fragrances that I love with a passion, because dark gothic fragrances here, like I always do. Dark gothic fragrances are something very close to my heart. They are gothic fragrances are something of it's subjective, obviously, but for me these scents are quite polarizing and these scents are quite strong. They all represent a vampire, a witch, they represent a demon, they represent everything that's basically me, I would say. Just ask my co-workers. So, moving on, I'm going to talk about the very first fragrance that we're going to talk about, and that is none other than Stash by Sarah Jessica Parker. So, this fragrance I have talked about in other videos. This is a very affordable fragrance, niche-like quality, whatever niche is, but it has those strong notes, very balsamic. It's very wintry. This fragrance, I envisage somebody walking through a forest with the rain coming down, dank, dark, brooding, a complete departure to all the other Sarah Jessica Parker fragrances, which are, dare I say, non-existent. This one speaks volumes, and I have sucked a fair bit out of this. Let's spray this. You can smell the sharp, you get like a sharpness that comes through, and actually most of these scents are pretty full-bodied and rounded, I would say. They're quite sharp, some of them are quite sharp in the opening, and that's what I like. I like a fragrance that punches you, and this punches you. This is dark and brooding, and I love it. And that's Stash by Sarah Jessica Parker. So the next fragrance I'm going to talk about is another favourite of mine, but it's a good one of mine, and that is Black Perfecto by Guerlain. And this is rose, patchouli, licorice, almond. It's that bitter almond in there, and it's that bitterness that I like in there. And you've got that deep dark rose in there, and it's like a deep dark blood red rose. It's not prominent, the rose, I would say. Probably the licorice is the more prominent, but I feel because licorice is black and it is sweet, but it's still sharp. Licorice isn't too sweet, and I feel that it's got maybe a little bit of saffron in this. It hasn't really got saffron, but I feel like that note of saffron is kind of like in this, although it's not in there. But it's deep, it's dark, it's brooding. It's for a playful vampire, I would say. And yeah, I absolutely love it. And that's Black Perfecto by Guerlain. We're going to talk about, actually it's a complete opposite to that one, and that is Serge Lutens' Baptême du Feu. This is hard to pull off. This has a gingerbread note, but it's got a note of castoreum in there, which is, as I've said, it's almost fecal. And it's, you know me, yeah, it's like addictive. You like it, but you don't like it. It's like a contradiction, this fragrance. It's the sweetness of the gingerbread, but that animalic note in there that really is quite gritty, I would say. It's either a love or a hate. I absolutely, actually, it's grown on me because I'm not really much of a fan of animalic notes, but this is perfect. I would say this is perfect as a Halloween fragrance for all you kind of like witch lovers in there. I would say this is probably well, is it a witch fragrance? Actually, I mean, all of these fragrances are gothic and dark, and all of these fragrances are what I love, and I love the juice in this, which is beautiful. So that's Serge Lutens Baptême du Feu. What I'm going to talk about, actually, I've not talked about this before, and this is I would say a dupe or a clone, but actually it came out well before the one that I'm going to talk about. It came out before Dior Midnight Poison, and it came out in 1980, and it's a Russian brand, and it is called, let me just wipe this over, it's called La Belle de Russie, and it's an eau de parfum. And this, although it hasn't got really any of the notes in Midnight Poison, it is 100% the same. So if you are looking for a clone of Midnight Poison, grab this one. This came from Russia, and I've got an itchy. Oh, it's because of the scent. But yes, but this one, it has that amber and rose and patchouli feel to it, although it hasn't really got rose in it. It's got blackcurrant in there, but it's slightly medicinal, and it's 100% like Midnight Poison, 100%. There are other clones and dupes out there, but this is an exact copy. I've put this on one palm, this on the other wrist, tested both of them, and it's exactly the same. So La Belle de Russie, I think it's called Nouvelle Étoile, maybe. It's an eau de parfum. So the next one I'm going to talk about is Alien Essence Absolue. This, although it's got the sweetness, it's vanillic. The opoponax in there, that sweet myrrh, is beautiful. And this is a 60 ml. And yes, you know, I have 2 bottles of this, so I tend not to use this a lot. But Mugler fragrances are polarizing. Well, I'd say probably 90% of them. They are a little bit changing slightly now that, you know, it's been sold to L'Oreal, but that's another story. But I would say this fragrance is dark, it's brooding, but it's got that sweetness, and it is slightly medicinal, slightly balsamic, but it is absolutely beautiful, and that is Alien Essence Absolute. The next one I'm going to talk about is a soft powdery fragrance, but I would still class it as fairly gothic, and it's a flanker to Yves Saint Laurent Parisienne, and that is Yves Saint Laurent Parisienne à l'extrême. And this has rose, but it has violet, and it's powdery and soft, but it's still got a little bit of depth and darkness to it, which I quite like, whereas the original Parisienne, which I think Kate Moss was the face for that about 12 years ago now, 11 years ago, that's much more too powdery, I would say. Although it's got a little bit of powder, it's not too much powder, I would say. And this It's hard to find this fragrance now, but it's beautiful. It's for the soft. I'd probably say this actually fragrance is for the maiden to be, for the woman or the man that's yet to be devoured by a vampire. I would say this fragrance is good for, and equally afterwards. And you know, we all love to be devoured by a vampire. So the next one I'm going to talk about is a new acquisition, but it had to be on the list, and this was from my sister Cassandra, and she probably knows what it is already, but that's Bond number 9, B9. Wow. This is sex. It is pure vampiric sex. This is what this is. I don't know. This fragrance is such a special fragrance, and it was a wowzer for me when I got this the end of last year. And the jasmine, the saffron is humongous in this, and that dry down, and it's completely has some woodiness to it, and on the clothes it lasts for days and days. On the skin, on my skin, this lasts 8+ hours, and I have very dry skin without moisturizing. But this is for that deep, that person who means business, that person that wants to command an audience. It's strong, it's heavy, it's lust, it's lustful, I would say, this fragrance is. So I've even worn this to work. Yes, that's the type of person that I am, and it's beautiful, and I adore it. Bond number 9, B9. So the next 3 are all honourable mentions, and I think they represent me to a certain degree. And the first one I'm going to talk about is none other than Angel by Thierry Mugler. And this is a vintagey one. This is an old one. This was a limited edition. This one. It's all and everything that to me encompasses sweetness yet darkness, angelic yet demonic. Angel is such a misnomer of a name for this, because it's a strong, bombastic fragrance, and I will never be without it. You know me, Angel is my comfort go-to fragrance. It is when I want to kick ass and feel. It is confidence, but it's real gothicness in a bottle, this fragrance. It is stunning. It has depth. You've got all of those fruity notes, but the patchouli, the dirty patchouli. This fragrance is, well, this fragrance now is about 11 years old, this fragrance. But I would say that the patchouli in this is maybe toned down a little bit compared to the reformulated versions that they have. But although there's still nonetheless a reformulated version from the 1992 version, but it's still, I don't have to spray anymore because dark, chocolatey, caramel patchouli, boozy, and I adore it. So love it or hate it, love it. Angel by Thierry Mugler. The next one I'm going to talk about is from the house of Montal, and I've got the little thing taken off, and that is Oud Purple Rose. Now this one, it's got that Montal DNA for sure, but the rose in this with the agar wood is just, and again the saffron is just beautiful. It's very dynamic, this fragrance. It's bold, it's audacious, it's everything that I love. And the oud in this I really do like. And I have to say, this is mask worthy. I have had compliments from this after I've worn this 5 hours plus, 6 hours plus throughout the day. People could still smell it on my skin through masks, and they were like 6 feet away. That's how strong and bombastic and audacious this is. And I only put about 6 sprays on. Yeah, you know me. Some people might think, 6 sprays for a Montel fragrance, but you know me, I normally put it twice that amount on. But yes, Montel Oud Purple Rose. This is the, and the next one I'm going to talk about, the perfect scent for a vampire. The perfect scent, I would say. This is, which vampire would I equate this to? Maybe actually I would equate this, is it to the 1992 Dracula? I would equate this to, is it Gary Oldham who played it? Yes, I would equate this to him. So this Montel Oud Purple Rose. Final one I'm going to talk about. I'm having a scentgasm, literally, while I'm talking about this, and that is Imogen Rose. Yes, some people might think it's not a Gothic dark fragrance, but for me it is. And I'm actually going to spray it. This is Orris Rose. And it's a dirty rose. I would equate this to like a dirty jasmine, but on the dirty rose. This is a rose that's been trodden on, and a rose that is, I've got to spray a bit more. I've got to go so easy on the trigger, but it just, because it's so hard to find this fragrance now, I managed to snag a couple. Yes, my husband's like, more than one? Yes, I did, darling. So, it's slightly powdery from the Orris, which is beautiful. But the rose in there, I can't read this for toffee because it's too... This, I would say, this equates to, it's slightly romantic for me. It conjures up romanticism with Dracula, because I would equate this to the 1979 film of Dracula with Frank Langella and Laurence Olivier, and there was even Richard, who is that actress in it? Jan. She was in with Paul Nichols. I've forgotten her name. She is the maiden to be in it. I think she plays Lucy. What's her name? She was in Just Good Friends. Do you know the actress I mean? Penny. She played Penny in Just Good Friends. Yes, Jan Francis. She was in that film. And a very young Jan Francis. And I equate this to her wearing this. Lucy. This is what Lucy would wear. And the film in it romanticises Dracula, and there's a scene in it where he is making love to her and biting her, and it's not gratuitous like films are nowadays. It's not like that at all, but it's this fragrance is so stunning. And if you can, go and see that film if you're a Dracula aficionado like I am. But yes, Imogen Rose, absolutely adore it. There we go. Those were my deep, dark, Gothic fragrances that are everything that I am, and a lot of things that people are not nowadays. So there we go. So what are your thoughts? Comment down below. If you like this video, that's fine. If you don't like this video, that's also fine. But I'd like to engage with you, and I like to hear your thoughts on what your dark vampiric Gothic fragrances are. Once again, You've been watching another edition of the Fragrantician. Don't forget, don't just dab it on, but slap it on. Till the next time, bitches. Ciao for now. Ciao for now.